My name is Jennifer Haines, and I'm the museum educator at the Pennsylvania Lumber Museum. We preserve and share the history of Pennsylvania's forests with visitors. I oversee all the educational offerings at the site, from creating new programs and giving tours to finding ways to bring Pennsylvania's lumber history to visitors unable to be at the site. Women, although often overshadowed, have always been part of that lumber history. Women worked at remote and isolated logging camps as cooks or kitchen assistants called cookies. Food was of vital importance at these camps. Crews were willing to quit a camp and start work at another over the issue of the quality and quantity of the meals. Cooks who could prepare tasty and plentiful meals 3 times a day, 7 days a week were in demand. As a result, a cook's position was one of the highest paid jobs in the camp, although often the cook would then pay the wages of the cookie out of her earnings. Sometimes the women working in the kitchens were the wives or family members of the foreman of the camp. He was the one who had contracted with lumber barons to cut timber from tracts of land and oversaw the working of the camp. The wife and children of a foreman might cook and keep the camp to help cut down on costs. Such was the case of Rose Kajanik Parr, whose family immigrated to Pennsylvania from Austria in the early 20th century. Her parents operated a lumber camp, and as a girl, Rose worked in its kitchen. She met her first husband, Joseph, there, and they married when she was 17. The two immediately started their own camp. They wed on a Saturday, and the following Monday, Rose was cooking, washing, cleaning, and sewing for a crew of 25 men. The Kojaniks operated several lumber camps over the years in Elk and McKean counties and had 4 sons. In 1937, Joseph was killed in a car accident. Rose was determined to keep her camp running. She raised her sons and continued to cook at the camp while also taking on the management of the logging operation, bossing the men, and keeping the finances. Rose operated her last camp from 1950 to 1968 at Burning Well in McKean County. Her camp is believed to be the last active lumber camp in all of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's lumber heritage isn't just limited to its forests. Factories producing a wide variety of wooden items were built across the state, and although most typically only employed men, a few, like clothespin factories and kindling wood factories, provided employment opportunities to women. Of the 20 employed at the Dodge Clothespin Factory in Coudersport in Potter County, at least 18 were women, including the owner's 17-year-old daughter, Lula. She and the other women typically operated lathes and polishing machines. Heavier equipment like the bandsaws, ripsaws, and steam power plant were the domain of her male co-workers. Young girls and women were also employed at kindling wood factories, where the waste lumber from sawmills was cut, steam-dried, compressed into bundles, and sold in cities to be used by tenement residents to start fires in their coal stoves. The factories used an innovative bundling press, where half its gears turned inward while the other half turned outward. Women used the outward turning side of the press so their skirts could not easily get caught and pull them into the machinery. Girls between the ages of 15 to 20 were hired to operate the press, bundling 700 to 800 or more bundles a day and earned 20 cents per 100 bundles. The Lumber Museum actually has a surviving example of one of these bundles on display. We are still learning about the women who lived and worked in Pennsylvania's forests. Their stories are important and help us understand to be able to share a more complete and inclusive history with our visitors. We encourage you to come for a visit and discover more about the courageous and reckless spirit of Pennsylvania's lumbering past.